Hi, welcome. I'm Angus from Wise Investment. I'm joined by Ian from Whitley Stimpson, and today we were just going to have a brief look at business resilience.
Business resilience, Angus, that sounds quite a wide topic. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm thinking specifically of what the impact might be on a particular business of one of their key people being unwell, unable to work for a period of time, or possibly not being able to return to work at all, and what steps you might need to take in order to allay that risk. So the thing to think about is consider who the really important people are in your business: the salespeople, the IT guy or gal, your CEO, the people who bring in the business and make sure it gets done, the people with all the real core know-how. What would happen to your business? What would happen to your revenues or your profits if one or more of these people was struck down with some illness, for example? Another consideration, different problem, is what happens if they leave? So how would you address that? How would you ensure that the business can keep going, bridging a gap, for example, while you find a replacement? There's lots of strands to this. The most common way of dealing with this kind of problem is to assess the financial risk and impact and take out some sort of protection policy in relation to that person or those people.
This is the so-called key man insurance.
Absolutely, that's right, yeah. And it's quite specific. It needs to be tailored to a particular business's needs. I see these kind of things as part of a business continuity plan. You look at what happens if there's a fire in your building, or if there's a pandemic or something and everyone has to work from home, your IT system's up to it and all the rest
Absolutely.
of it. How is your business going to be impacted if someone important can't work? There's also, and I think this is something you certainly know something about, Ian, is if you have 3 or 4 shareholders, for example, a number of shareholders in a business, there could be a problem there, some difficulties arising if one of them, for example, were to die.
Absolutely.
What would be the consequences of that?
Well, the issue is that if you've got 3 or 4 unrelated shareholders, usually each has their own family and their own commitments. And quite often, if one of them was to pass away, their share in the business might well be left to a spouse, as is quite common under the terms of wills these days. But the spouse has no real interest or desire to be involved in the business or to run, and the other shareholders may actually grow to resent the fact that this person isn't involved but is entitled to a share of the profits or what have you. So we also see protection policies put in place that pay out to the company to enable it to then repurchase the shares from the new shareholder, if you like, which actually helps from both perspectives, because quite often the widow in this situation it's more important for them to have the financial cash to support their family and continue there. And it's equally important for the remaining shareholders to be able to continue to control their business and take it in the direction they want it to go.
Right, okay. But without that, then there could be difficulties in ensuring that the spouse receives a settlement on the shares.
Absolutely.
And potentially the control of the ongoing directors and shareholders would be diluted in some way without that arrangement. Okay.
Absolutely, and the company may not have the financial resources, given that these things are quite often unexpected at that time, to repurchase the shares without one of these policies in place.
Right, okay. So there's 2 slightly different situations. There's how you deal with the ownership of the business, and also how you deal with the ongoing operation of the business. So they're 2 slightly different problems that can be solved with the same sort of central solution, which is a life insurance or a health insurance type policy, critical illness as it might be. But the structures around them have to be different, don't they? Because there needs to be, for the shareholder problem, a sort of cross-option agreement that they will buy out each other's shares in that way. Okay.
And that really links into a very important point that we see, is actually, is your shareholders agreement up to date? Have you even got a shareholders agreement? Quite often I'm seeing business owners and they'll say, well, we set up this business 10 years ago and it's always been on the to-do list, and it slips further and further down.
Yeah, and we're all good friends anyway, so it's fine. We don't really need a proper agreement. That's quite a common
absolutely
oversight, isn't it?
But shareholders agreement is a fundamental tool and something that really every business should have.
Right. Okay. So the other angle is, people could leave for other reasons. They get a better offer.
Yep.
So, or their life changes in some way. I'm a strong believer for any business that you need to look after your people well, and one of them might be, there's all the package of benefits and salary and pension contributions and so on. May have covered those before in a previous video. But the other one is, benefits for your family if something does befall that individual, and that can be quite a good addition to the sort of package of staff benefits, in order to give you just that extra edge in retaining your best people.
Absolutely, and we're seeing death in service benefits being provided more and more. It's not something that just the large corporates do now. And typically we see the company will identify junior staff, senior staff, and then the executive or very senior leadership team.
Yeah.
And you put different levels of cover in place, but most commonly it tends to be 2 times salary for junior staff, possibly 4 times salary for senior, and then a fixed sum for you executives. And it's, as you say, it's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it's just something that helps to retain key employees.
Yeah.
And should the worst happen, actually can be a very, very valuable benefit for their surviving family.
I mean, in our experience, if you do these things on a group basis, they tend to work out not being too expensive, actually, and as part of your overall picture, it's a lot smaller proportion of your salary roll, for example. To round off, I think one of the key points with all of these types of benefit is that there are some complexities in how you set them up. I've seen what happens when it's not done properly, and it can result in unexpected and fairly hefty tax bills and so on. So it really is important to take advice. I would say that, of course, being a financial advisor. However, these things do need a lot of thought and care.
They do, and there's no one size fits all. You really do need to take specific advice for your business and make sure it's structured in the right way.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment or subscribe to our channel.